Hello, welcome back to Reading Out Aloud. Today we are going to read Where is Gah-Ning? The story is by Robert Munsch and it's illustrated by Helene Desputeaux. One day, Gah-Ning went to her father and said, I want to go on a trip. Her father stopped working and said, Oh, are you going to go to a movie? No, said Gah-Ning. Going to a hockey game? No, said Gah-Ning. Going to the store? No, said Gah-Ning. Well, where are you going? Asked her father. I, said Gah-Ning, am going to go to Kapuskasing. No, said her father. I know about Kapuskasing. When people go to Kapuskasing, they spend hundreds of dollars. They shop and shop and shop and spend all their money. I want to go to Kapuskasing anyway, said Gah-Ning. No way, said her father. Gah-Ning sat on the front steps of the restaurant for a while. Then she got her bicycle and started pedaling down the road to Kapuskasing. When it was lunchtime, the father said, Where is Gah-Ning? I don't know, said her mother. The last time I saw her, she was going down the street on her bicycle. On her bicycle, said her father. Gah-Ning? Bicycle? Kapuskasing! Oh no! He jumped into their car and started driving down the road. He drove almost halfway to Kapuskasing, and there was Gah-Ning, pedaling like crazy. The father stopped and said, What's the matter with you? Are you crazy? There are trucks, there are cars, there are buses, there are motorcycles. You're going to get killed. He picked up the bicycle and threw it in the trunk. When they got home, Gah-Ning's father looked at her and said, Don't drive your bicycle to Kapuskasing. Then he went back to the restaurant and started making chicken balls. Gah-Ning sat on the front steps for a while and then went to get her rollerblades. When it was time for dinner, her father said, Where is Gah-Ning? I don't know, said her mother. The last time I saw her, she was going down the road on her rollerblades. Rollerblades, said her father. Gah-Ning? Rollerblades? Kapuskasing! Oh no! He jumped into the car and drove down the road to Kapuskasing. About 50 kilometers out of town, there was Gah-Ning, skating along. The father stopped and said, What's the matter with you? Are you crazy? There are trucks, there are cars, there are buses, there are motorcycles. You are going to get killed. Don't go to Kapuskasing on your bicycle. Don't go to Kapuskasing on a bus. Don't go to Kapuskasing on a skateboard, and don't go to Kapuskasing in a helicopter. Just don't go. The next day, Gah-Ning got up and said, Oh, here I am, and I really want to take a trip. But since she couldn't go out of town, she went downtown to the library. There she met a clown who was doing a show for kids. At the end of his performance, he gave out balloons. He said to the first kid, How many balloons do you want? The kid said, 2 balloons. He said to the second kid, How many balloons do you want? The kid said, 1 balloon. Gah-Ning came up and the clown said, How many balloons do you want? Gah-Ning said, 300. 300 balloons, said the clown. I never gave anyone that many before. So he gave Gah-Ning 100 balloons, 200 balloons, 300 balloons, and Gah-Ning started to float right up into the sky. The clown said, You better look out. You're going to float all the way to Kapuskasing. I know, said Gah-Ning. Isn't it great? When it was lunchtime, her father said, Where is Gah-Ning? I don't know, said her mother. She went to the library and hasn't come back. Her father walked down to the library and said, Where is my kid? Oh, said the librarian, so that was your kid. She's on her way to Kapuskasing. Oh no, said her father. Is she on a bicycle? No, said the librarian. Is she on rollerblades? No, said the librarian. Then how is she getting to Kapuskasing? Asked the father. With 300 balloons, said the librarian. She is floating down the Trans-Canada Highway, holding on to 300 balloons. Oh no, No, yelled the father. He jumped into the car, drove all the way to Kapuskasing, and parked by a shopping mall. He looked up, and there was Gah-Ning coming down out of the sky, letting go of one balloon at a time. She came down right on top of her father's car. Gah-Ning looked at him and said, "Daddy, you came to go shopping. How nice. And you brought little sister too." The end. Thank you for listening to Where is Gah-Ning? I hope you enjoyed today's adventure. If you would like to know where Robert Munsch got his inspiration from, please continue on listening. There's a little story behind Where is Gah-Ning? Enjoy. This book started with a letter. It was from Gah-Ning, who lived in a little town in northern Ontario. On the back of her letter, she had drawn a wonderful picture of a girl going up in a balloon. I liked the picture so much that I wrote a not very good story about it and sent it to her. Gah-Ning must have liked the story because she kept writing me lots of letters. A year later, I decided it would be neat to meet her, so I flew up north and told stories at her school. She asked me to tell everyone the story I sent her in the mail, so I told it, but it changed a lot and turned into a really very good story. As soon as I told it, I knew that it would be a book someday. When I was done, Gah-Ning said, "My sister, Helene, and I want to show you the most important things in town, the very most important things." They started with the Chinese restaurant. "This," said Gah-Ning, "is our uncle's restaurant. It has the best chicken balls in Canada. We make them ourselves. Everybody else uses frozen chicken balls. Ours are the best." "The best in Canada?" I asked. "He doesn't believe us," whispered Helene. "He probably couldn't tell a chicken ball from a baseball," whispered Gah-Ning. Then we walked and walked till we came to a toy store. Helene said, "Look, toys, kids' toys. This is a very important thing in town. Everybody comes here. If the toys weren't here, no one would even live here." Then they rode toy cars up and down the aisles until a lady yelled at them in French. "What's she saying?" I asked. "She says we have to go," said Gah-Ning. "Maybe that's the most important thing in town?" I asked. "No, no," said the girls. "This is not the most important thing in town. We haven't even seen the moose yet." "Moose?" I said. "Definitely a moose," they said. We walked for a long time, and finally, on the edge of town, we came to a very large statue of a moose. "Look at that," I said, "a moose. I can see why that is the most important thing in town. Not every town has an enormous statue of a moose. In fact, most towns don't even have a small statue of a moose." "No," said Helene. "The moose is important, but it's not the most important thing in town. We haven't even been to the most important thing in town." "What's that?" I asked. Then we walked over some railroad tracks, through some deep snow, and through some bushes, and finally came out on a dirt road that was full of trucks carrying logs. We kept going, and finally, way out in the middle of no place, we came to a field. There, sticking out of the snow, were gravestones. "A cemetery?" I asked. "This is where our grandmother is buried," said Gah-Ning. Both sisters stood in blowing snow and bowed down to the grave. When they were done, I asked, "Why did you do that?" "That," said Helene, "is what you do when you visit your grandmother's grave." "Right," I said. "This wouldn't happen to be the most important thing in town." "Absolutely," said Gah-Ning. "No doubt about it," said Helene. Then we walked all the way back to the restaurant. It was dark and really cold. When we got back, I was so cold I could only eat 5 chicken balls, and that was too bad because they really were the best chicken balls in Canada. I really hope you enjoyed the backstory to Where is Gah-Ning just as much as I did. I know that I love to hear the stories and the inspirations that authors have about their characters. Also, imagine being Gah-Ning, a little girl who has Robert Munsch come to her school and read a story and then spend the day with her. What a story for her to tell her grandchildren, her children, her friends and family. Now she would be an adult, and this would probably be one of her favorite memories. I know it would have been mine if this has happened to me as a little girl. So thank you for listening to today's story and the backstory. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about Reading Out Aloud. I'm uploading new stories every week. Thank you.